Welcome back, everyone. We are joined online. This is our hybrid session. This is a 1 o'clock session. This is one that I would say we've kind of been working towards for the whole year. I have members of our policy advisory committee with me, which is something that we have been working towards starting at OACB alongside Alex and myself and Adam. It is something that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. It is something we've been trying to promote. But as you can imagine, sometimes you plan things and they take a little longer than you anticipated when they're starting.
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit. We had some help by the feds and the state legislature and making sure that we kind of dragged our feet in this a little bit. So, one of the reasons we wanted to have this session is because we have been taking a lot of our time and talking about how we want to better communicate what's going on at the state level and the federal level to people with in the community and their families. But we also want to hear more from, as county boards, from people in the community on what's actually going on at the local level. Because as someone who represents an association who represents county boards, we are kind of sometimes 2 layers away from what is actually happening at the community. So a lot of what I learn is from county boards telling me what they're hearing from people. And so these are advocates.
Can I say?
One second, Ruben.
Okay.
So, I know you're eager. We are all eager to hear from you. So, but we, we think this is important because we're really excited about it. We have 3 of our founders of this group because collectively they have just absolute immense knowledge and experience in advocacy. Some of them, were first members on county boards or first people in their communities to lead some of these self-advocacy movements. And then we're joined by Ryan from Franklin County, who I've gotten to work with and know a lot over the last year in his work that he does at Franklin County and making sure that the people in his community are having their voices heard. And so I thought they would be a great panel to kind of just talk about some of the successes that we've seen over the years, some of the struggles that we may see on both the advocate side as well as the county board side and what that partnership looks like, as well as ways as we can come together better moving into the future, because there are some scary issues out there. I think everyone feels them. I think everyone's a little anxious about everything going on. And so if we're all on the same page and in it together, that is really when we're going to be able to not only make a difference, but kind of help some of that anxiety go away. And so Alex has been working with advocacy groups and county boards and trying to figure out what is the best way to do this. We had we did a survey. We had a lot of county boards who were aware of their county advocacy groups, but some that weren't aware, or some that may have fallen apart or fallen distant from their advocacy groups. And so how can we better make sure that those two are aligned when we're talking about a lot of these really hard issues that we're going to be working together on? Ruben, would you like to say something?
Yeah, you're talking about advocacy with the board. I think it's going to be better now because we have advocates on boards now. Before we did not have that, and I know because I've been an advocate for almost it's going to be 60 years next year, and I've been an advocate for the county boards for 37 years. So I've seen all the changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's one of the reasons why we asked this panel to join us, is because there's a lot of experience, a lot of changes that have gone on through the lives of these 3. And so our goals for today is to discuss it's a little small, but discuss what is working well between county boards and advocacy groups, explore the challenges that exist between the 2, sharing insights and how to continue these partnerships, and then continuing to grow these relationships between county boards and their advocacy groups. So how we're going to do this is we've prepared some questions and I'm going to kind of jump around and start with some different people. But the first one I want to do is start with Ruben. This will kind of be an introduction. I should have started with, we have Ruben Garcia, Stuart Jones, Carmen Shelton, Ryan Phillips, three great advocates and a member of Franklin County Board staff. But Ruben, if you want to start us off and tell us how you became involved in your local advocacy groups and a little about yourself.
Okay, my name is Ruben Garcia. I'm from Benton County. I'm on the board of Benton County. I became an advocate 60 years ago. It'll be 60 years next year. I became an advocate when the law came in to mainstream us to regular school. That's when I became an advocate. So I have a lot of experience and a lot of changes. I started the advocacy group in Lucas County because that's where I was from. I worked in the workshop and started an advocating group there. And that's how I got started. Then I started working with the state when I met Director Ritchie. And he wanted me to work with the state. And that's how I got started.
Absolutely. Thank you. Stuart?
Okay.
How'd you get started?
Really?
Yeah, yeah, really. Give me the history.
Okay. 2005, Governor Taft was gonna take a huge bite out of the MRDD budget and had a meeting in Columbus that I was coming to. And it's like they wanted us to set meetings up with our elected officials. In 3 days, I'd met with three senators shy of the entire Senate and stuff. And guess what? That budget cut didn't happen.
I remember that.
Absolutely.
I remember that.
I testified in front of the Finance Committee.
Mhm.
I made a lot of friends who I can still, when I cannot figure out how to get something done, it's like I pick up the phone, I go, hey, can you help me? And I'm able to get their assistance. But
yeah, thank you. And I think that's important, right? You know, sometimes those early connections that you make as an advocate can kind of help you long term. You know, we're always saying you don't have to, you know, be a self advocate to be an advocate.
Yeah.
Everyone is an advocate in every part of their life. So I really like hearing how that kind of comes full circle now in your life. Carmen?
I first became involved in local advocacy groups when I actually moved to Columbus. I didn't have a lot of experience in advocacy living in a rural county. I didn't have the people first, and I didn't have DD council and things like that. So I really became involved in advocacy when I first moved to Columbus. Done some projects with DD council through the years, and I coordinated an advocacy group for Pickaway County a couple of years ago. So that's how I became involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Stu.
oh, Jake.
Yeah.
Next week I meet with Gary, the CEO of the Arc of Ohio, to talk about me starting People First
All right.
again in Summit County.
Very nice. So as you can see, even today, you know, I know Stuart ran through his schedule with me on Friday for the next 3 weeks. And so to add another thing to Stuart's schedule is a big commitment, but he's, as you can see, he loves being an advocate out there.
Well, we're all busy. I
Yes.
have 4 meetings tomorrow online, so
I believe it. Carmen, do you mind sharing the microphone with Ryan to answer? Thank you.
So unofficially, or I guess kind of unknowingly, in 2002, I became a head coach for a Special Olympics basketball team. At that point in time, advocacy looked more to me like encouragement, encouraging folks to stand up for themselves, speak their mind, and kind of being engaged in that way. I didn't think of the word advocacy and connect that. That wouldn't have probably registered with me. But the fact that you could speak up for yourself, the fact that you could sort of advocate for what you want to do, very much did resonate. So for a long time, that was sort of it. Probably a year and a half or so ago, kind of stepping into this new position, it became much more formalized in terms of kind of working with our self-advocate group. But I guess, yeah, for a while, just sort of, it was much more organic and less formalized, but still sort of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably how some of these start, is just kind of come, you really just kind of fall into it. I know, not just in advocacy positions, but county board positions wide, just falling in love with what you're doing. And I know they're very grateful to have you. You've done a great work in trying to revamp some of that stuff.
So that means he's the rookie and I'm the senior.
Yeah, I think so. And and then the years in between.
Yeah.
The years in between. Absolutely. All right. So Ruben, I'm going to start with you. Some of these questions, we're going to jump around a little bit. If there's anything that you three would like to add, if we don't get a chance to touch base, feel free to chime in. But when you began in advocacy, what was your main goal? I know you have a journey that surpasses everyone's.
Okay. I have to go back in my history. In '88, like I said, I worked in Lucas County workshop, and I seen people they wasn't getting anything because they kept telling me they have a disability. They don't know what they want. That made me angry. It did. It made me angry. I'm like, I have a disability and I know what I want. Well, these guys have DD. I said, I don't care. And I finally went to one of my supervisors and said, I want to make a group. She said, that's not good because they're not going to allow it. So I said, I'm going to do it anyway. So I did. This is how scary they were afraid of me in Lucas County. I started meeting in the hallway. They wouldn't give me a conference room. I met in the hallway. That's how bad it was. And finally, they realized, wait a minute, this group might help us. They found out that we could help them. We made the work environment better, and people who needed to do their work, they needed tools to do it better and get better quality work. And they figured that out. So that's when I was their president of the group for 15 years. They wouldn't let me go.
That's awesome. Ryan, I know you said, you kind of came into it with a different perspective, not really sure, tying the two there. Can you expand a little bit on maybe like how that transformed to where you are today, and kind of maybe what a county board staff member, if they're kind of feeling that same way going into it, what they might want to think about as they do that?
Absolutely. So I've been with Franklin County DD this is year 18, I believe. And for a long time, it was kind of in that.
Sorry for you.
No, I love where I am. I think for me, it's incredibly important to work for a place that has a mission that resonates with me very, very deeply. And kind of, when you talk about main goals and why we're doing the work that we're doing, right? The first word of our mission is helping. And I think that resonates very deeply with many of us. But for a long time, it was kind of in the Special Olympics, recreation, and aquatics realm. And so the advocacy work looked more like opportunities that we had for our athletes in our Special Olympics program, and working with SSAs, working with providers, working with folks of continuing to open doors, right? Just creating opportunities. What did that look like? Well, so-and-so maybe didn't have access to transportation because of some behaviors. What supports could we provide to be able to make that happen? So-and-so maybe wasn't able to do an overnight because of past history, or had never done an overnight before because they're 26 years old and never spent the night not at mom or grandma's house, right? We spent some hours on the phone having some of those conversations, advocating on behalf of the people that we're serving to be able to provide them with an opportunity. It looked a lot of different ways, but really boiled down often to, we want to be able to open doors and provide opportunities to people that we're serving.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So Stuart, I'm going to have you start with this one. Can you share a moment when collaboration with county board has led to a real change for people with disability? I know you've worked a lot with county boards. I know you work with the ARC, and just kind of in your experience, whether big or small, if there was a time that you've experienced that.
Well, I'll go back to when I started my advocacy journey for, what was it, from 2005 to 2013, I made yearly trips to DC to argue with members of Congress. I had people go, who set those meetings up for you? It's like, please, I do. After like their third or fourth call, they clue in to just give this guy a meeting, get him to quit calling.
Persistence.
Well, you cannot imagine the looks on their face. Hey, I'll be the first one to admit, on the phone, I sound totally drunk. Hey, it's like, when I'm drunk, I talk perfectly. It's like, you cannot imagine the looks on their face when I show up in their offices in a sports coat and tie and stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm here, let's get this meeting going. I've got other places to be and other people's lives make a living joy.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for that insight into how Congress works. Yeah. There's a lot of advocacy attitude, we like to say. Carmen, so kind of building off of that, talking about partnerships, what do you think are some of the ways that advocates who maybe haven't reached out to their county boards before in an advocacy realm, how can they feel better about partnering with county boards?
Well, they can feel better about partnering with county boards. They just need to speak up and find out what resources are out there. If you need any help in finding the resources for county boards, you can reach out to any one of us. And I know Ryan is a good resource for that as well, but I would just reach out to your county board to see what resources are out there, and talk to, and just find out what advocacy means to you.
And if your case manager isn't being helpful, well, do like I do. I do not I'm not one for following chain of command. And my case manager and stuff found that out because I was having trouble getting the services I needed. So I called my state rep. It's like, yo, this is what I need and I cannot get it. He called and I had it within 2 days.
See, I'm different story. I would go to chain of command. I would talk to my SSA, and then if she couldn't do it, I would talk to her boss, And if she couldn't do it, then I would go to assistant superintendent, and he says he can't do it. Then I go to the main boss.
Main boss.
Yep. And if the main boss can't do it, then I call the state.
Well, actually,
Right.
that isn't following chain of command, because after the superintendent, it's the board and stuff.
All right.
All right, you're getting technical.
Ryan, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna bring her back on track here for a moment,
You're
which
getting
is
technical.
often my role within our self-advocate meetings is let's go ahead and throw the bumpers up and bring us back on track for a moment. But as a staff person, sometimes your responsibility is listening, right? It's listening to what are the challenges. And I think one of the great things of the world that we work in is we get to really do a lot of creative problem solving, right? That's such a cool thing that we're able to do. So we heard kind of at our self-advocates, like, hey, Synergy is fantastic. If you're not familiar with the Synergy conference, I highly encourage you to check it out. Please attend. It's fantastic. It's at Kalahari, which is beautiful. It's also a little bit expensive. And so one of the challenges we identified was the hotel costs that are associated with the Synergy conference. So in the spring of 24, we had a self-advocate say, hey, I have an idea. I think we should do a trunk or treat event. So fast forward to the fall of last year, we did our first trunk or treat in our front lot at admin. We had probably 400 plus people show up. It was absolutely bananas. We ran out of candy. Dot, our superintendent, was inside raiding snack trays and candy jars from his office desks. We were on the verge of handing out sheets of paper. Like, here you go. Right? Like at that point,
I owe you.
we were all, which are just as good as mine. So fast forward to this year, and kind of my background in nonprofit, I can jokingly, I'll monetize anything, right? Like we can put some dollars associated with anything. So we offered some sponsorships to our trunk or treat this year. So we had 5 folks come in at $500 each. Those $2,500 are now going to go towards 2026 Synergy Conference to take care of one of the hotel nights, right? So thank you. Like, we feel passionately that we want to get people there. I also feel it's important that they have a little skin in the game. So you can take care of your entrance to Synergy with your waiver, right? We'll help even with transportation a little bit. You pay for one night, we pay for the other, provided we continue to be able to have an income source to support that. And to me, that's a really nice solution to a pretty unique problem that we're able to do organically. And then we really pushed out to our self-advocates, please come, please show up, please engage, be that ambassador, right? Really kind of be that person out front, welcoming, thanking people coming. And it first time we did it was this year, but it seems like it's got some traction and really some sort of potential in the future. So I think it's a good example of kind of just that collaborative effort.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Great.
Carmen, I know we touched a little bit on the partnerships aspect, but kind of along with this question, what makes you feel most welcomed or respected? But what builds, you said you first got started when you moved to Columbus, really. That was when you started advocating. So what built that trust with the county board when you came to Columbus, in a new environment? How did you feel like that trust was built?
The trust was built because I felt, I put myself out there. For one thing, I had to put myself out there at different conferences and just to find out what was out in Columbus, because I didn't even know there was a DD council. When I first moved to Columbus, I didn't know there was a DD council, and I didn't know there was all these advocacy groups. I was very sheltered in Brown County because I didn't know they had all these resources. So I had to really put myself out there and just tell people, that this is what I was looking for, this is what I needed. And just that active listening, that empathy was building that trust. And I don't know what else to say about that, but I just put myself out there in an effort to build that trust, and just the active listening and making sure that people understood that I can make a contribution even.
Yeah. Did it make you feel welcomed or respected? Like, what were
Yes,
some of the things,
it did.
what were some of the things that maybe the county board did that made you feel that way? Was it listening or?
It was just listening.
Yeah.
And just the open communication.
Yeah. Thank you. Ruben, do you have something?
You need to put yourself out there. You have to take a chance. Maybe I'm different because I'm older. When I started, there was nothing for advocacy in the DD system. only the ARC and DD Council, but they really wasn't looking at advocacy with self-advocates. So I'm really the one, it seems, that knows that part because I put myself out there for this system.
I feel like there's a theme there, is putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I know, Stuart, when we talked on Friday, it was advocacy related. And what were you doing? You were putting yourself out there to try and make a difference for yourself. So I think, the theme around this is about building that trust, is being vulnerable and putting yourself out there, because I think that's when the real conversations happen, is when everyone is able to have an honest discussion. Like I said, when we started, it's some anxious times right now. There might be some times where it seems like we're walking in different paths, but being able to recognize that and talk to each other through that is how you absolutely make that trust build.
Communication.
Yeah.
The communication is key with county boards and advocates today.
Yeah.
It is time for the advocates to stand up and say, this is what we need, but we have to help our county board, because they're like, like you said, the future is in dire straits now. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear it from the county boards anymore. They want to hear it from the people who are getting services. And I encourage advocates to come up and help the county boards. The county boards are great people. I respect the superintendents and everybody who work on county boards. Everybody gets mad at me because they're like, you're the mediator. I am the mediator because I believe that we all need to work together, not divide each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that makes me feel most respected, if I can add to that, is I just want to be known as a competent woman. Mm-hmm. And I want people to know my heart.
Yeah.
And what I need. I don't want people to see me as a person with a disability.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brian.
So yeah, I'll jump in on the other side of this. As the county board side, I think that what we really try to do, right, and there's, I'm sure, varying degrees of success at different meetings, but we certainly try, the simple thing, and I tried to employ it here today, right? Greeting people as they come in. Just, hey, how you doing? How you doing today? What's going on? Where are you from? What's happening? Give me an update, that sort of stuff. Kind of on the front end, you're kind of setting that tone. You're setting the tone for engagement. Yeah. You're setting the tone for a conversation, for the back and forth, right? Like this isn't just something where we're going to spew information to you, or conversely, it should be a healthy conversation. And that's really important. Ruben, you said it, sort of communication, right? Communication before our advocacy meetings, setting the agenda. Hey, here's what's going on. Here's what to expect, right? Communication during, we go around, everybody gets a chance to kind of introduce themselves. I think often early, for those of you that are running those meetings, and my 2 cents, you give somebody the mic early in the meeting, right? It's kind of like getting a little steam out of that pressure cooker, kind of takes a little bit of that pressure off, gives folks kind of a chance to say something straight away. And then we can kind of settle into the meeting. And then on the back end, right, you're communicating again. Hey, thank you for coming. Here's sort of the recap. Here's when we're going to do it again. But throughout that process, it is engagement. It's engagement. Yeah. We create opportunities for some leadership roles at the meeting, right? If people want to have additional, like if you're a wallflower and want to sit on the side in your chair, that's cool. No worries. But if you're somebody that wants to help out, pass out agendas, you want to kind of run the mic, you want to handle name tags, you want to do some of those things, like we try to incorporate that. Those are important. We set at our first meeting, kind of when we shifted how we wanted it to look, we set, 2 of the huge Post-it note that stick to the wall, kind of things full of values. What are the values of this group? Right. And that was set by our self-advocates, right? Like that was a great conversation. They're still hanging in the hallway outside of my office. I see them every day when I walk in and I walk out, because they're important. That's what's guiding us. And then come in January, we will revisit those at our next January meeting and say, hey, starting off 2026, is this still where we're at? Do we need to tweak it? Do we need to adjust it? Like this is an organic group, and we're going to continue to evolve. And then finally, I said it before, but it's really, really important. You're committing to the conversation, right? Depending on the topic, depending on what it is, you're really providing that opportunity for the conversation. People need to have those voices heard. And Ruben, I think you were alluding to this, and Jake and I just chatted about it a little bit this morning. As we continue to travel in this path of there's some tough times ahead, the most powerful voice in the room is the voice of our self-advocate, right? We can help put some tools in the toolbox. We can help amplify that voice. The county board can be really helpful in a lot of those ways. But where the rubber meets the road, the meat and potatoes of that conversation is truly the self-advocates that we're serving to be able to tell their story and why it matters. It's incredibly important.
Yeah, I mean, to build off that, county boards started by families, right? We're going to hear from two superior advocates, one of which I've known for a bit, Jennifer Kuchera, and then Erica Andre, who has been traveled from Wisconsin to be here. They are grassroots advocates who have been advocating throughout their lives for self-direction, the Olmsted rule, Christine, Marcy, this whole front row right here is an entire group of advocates. And so, it's that continual building. And like we said, you have to, I think you form around the advocates because they're always changing, it's always changing. The issues are always changing that are out there, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's housing or transportation. So we have to be able to be flexible to meet the needs of our advocates. And when doing so, I'm sure we run into barriers. And so, Stuart, I know we have talked before about some of the challenges you have faced when it comes to participating in some of these committees or just having your voices heard. And so, in your experience, what have been some of the barriers when you have been advocating?
Transportation.
Yeah.
Back in back when I started, I had a great friend that worked on the Medina County Board, and she would take the day off to run me to Columbus if I had a meeting and stuff. So just being able to do that is the biggest barrier that I've had is transportation.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not alone in that, especially in our rural areas, and I mean even urban. It's something that transcends across the state. I know when I first started, I went out to Auglaize County, which is all the way on the west side of Ohio, and I met with a group of advocates and just kind of talked about. They were getting ready to come down to the State House for the DD Advocacy Day, and I was like, "Are we all excited?" And they were like, a couple of them were really excited, but there were a few who weren't because their friends were unable to make it because they weren't able to find reliable transportation. And so, that's something that I think that is an area where I think advocates, county boards can partner in finding ways that we can really make a change in not only transportation for advocacy purposes, but transportation for people of all disabilities for all purposes. So, yeah, Ruben.
I'll give you guys an example. When I made People First of Toledo, that was the main thing, transportation. What I did, me and Ruben, I talked to the superintendent at the time and I said, I need transportation for these meetings. At that time, because we could do it, but things have changed over the years, he said, I'll give you a bus. If whoever wanted to come, they just call in the bus station and say, I want to go to the meeting. Well, things change over the years. What I did, okay, we had the bus, and then other people wanted to come, but they didn't want to use the bus. So I used transportation. I used what's called tarps for the people. And then I talked to the superintendent and said, why can't we put it in the waiver so the providers can get involved? And that's how we grew. We knew the transportation was the problem, and that's how we grew.
Yeah, so maybe there's a way that we can kind of find ways to collaborate, because and I think that's one of the really cool things that reestablishing these relationships is going to bring is we are going to be learning about things some areas are doing that other areas may not be doing. And that's going to be allow us to be able to try and take some of those systems that are in place to help advocates with transportation, whether it be housing, and how can we cross some of those county lines and make it easier for everyone across the state instead of just a certain area of the state. All right. Ryan, do you have anything to add for kind of the I know we've kind of hammered the communication part, but just
I would hope, frankly, and if you're some of our self-advocates and you do feel like we still have challenges in Franklin County, if we're not having that conversation, we better be. But I hope that we've sort of minimized many of those. I will echo transportation is really hard, whether I think rural versus urban doesn't matter. They're different, but they're both hard.
Yeah.
And so that can be a challenge, but yeah, man, in terms of participation, more the merrier. Like we want engagement.
Yeah, I was gonna say helping to helping remove those barriers starts with being able to have that trust to come speak up to county boards and say this thing's not working. Just like my mic, these things aren't working, or this is how I think we can be doing something better. And so that's all starts by being able to have that trust to come forward and talk about that. And I think from a county board perspective, to be able to accept that feedback and be able to take that feedback and be able to respond to it positively and turn it into a positive change. Stuart, were you going to say something? And then we'll go to you, Carmen, after Stuart.
Yeah, I was going to say one of my greatest allies is working with GT Independent.
Yeah.
And Paul Sheffield right there.
Check is in the mail.
Did he pay him to say that?
Carmen, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I just want to emphasize again, speak up for what you need, because if you don't, you're not going to get what you need. So you just got to speak up for what you need. It's hard, but if you're having trouble with transportation, you've got to speak up, because no one knows if you're having trouble with transportation, you don't speak up. Nobody can help.
Yeah, we all have.
I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, I have to agree with her. And plus Franklin County has a good superintendent. She's willing to change. No, she's
all about compliments today.
No, I'm serious. I could do this because I've been around longer than anybody. If you got your support with the county boards and your SSAs, it's going to work. I know this is a fact. I know this because I had my support with Lucas County Board of DD. I had my support in Benton County. I know everybody around the state. I mean, I was joking with people. I said, when people see me today, they're probably going to run out because they're scared of me. But I met people who are running this program. We became good friends. I mean, I have superintendents that retired that I still talk to. I even sometimes talk to Jed once in a while online. So, it's amazing for me over the years. I have a lot of friends, yeah, but they retired, but we still have contact. Like I still talk to Jeff Davis once in a while, or Director Richie. He's out of state, but we talk to each other on Facebook. So, it's amazing how your friendship grow over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very fair. All right. So Carmen, I know we've talked about communications before, whether it be sometimes emails or newsletters. And just in general, there's a lot of information that county boards receive and how to best communicate that out to the people that they serve. And then that you're able to share with your friends and family, what are some of the best ways that county boards can provide information to people to share?
The newsletter for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the newsletter. And Franklin County has an excellent newsletter. There's other counties, I'm sure they have excellent newsletters, but I read in Kansas counties a lot. And I would say just that verbal communication and emails
Yeah.
to get words out, to get the word out as well.
Yeah, I think, one pagers we've talked about.
Yes.
Yeah, something we're hoping to do better at OACB and including advocates themselves is trying to incorporate person-centered language in our bill summaries. I struggle a lot to read bills, and I've been working in the legislature for 6 years, 7 years. And so for me to try and take what a lot of times lawyers are writing, and then I have to regurgitate it in my mind for myself, and then I translate that to county boards. We are always continually trying to figure out a way to summarize such a complex issue and system in an easier language. And so that's really something we're trying to do better at, getting that out to county boards and then allowing them to share that with their constituencies.
And also, I think it's county board members' responsibility to get stuff out too, because as a board member, as a board member, it's my responsibility to keep the community informed of things that's going on. So they know, and other advocates know, and the people who are getting served. It's my responsibility as an advocate to go out there and do it. It's not just the county boards. It's everybody. As an advocate, you need to go out there and say, this is what's going on. This is what we believe in. You might not believe it, but this is what's going on. You can do something about it. We can give you the information, but it's up to you to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right on. Stuart, did you have something?
Yeah. Have you ever thought of putting a bill in the chat GPT to see what it would come up with?
We have, and sometimes we do it as an experiment just to kind of see, and it is wild to see what might come out, because when you read a bill, there are a lot of words that have lines through them, and there are a lot of words that have lines under them. And Chat GPT does not know which is which. And so you'll have a bill that starts out one way and switches halfway through. So that's why AI will never replace a lobbyist.
No.
Future employment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, she's finally gonna talk.
This is Alex, everyone. She's our advocacy coordinator.
I'm new with OACB still, and I worked with my county board before this, but something that Jake and I have worked a lot on is just making the policy briefs and things that he sends out more accessible. And it takes longer than you think, because you have to put it in Chat GPT, then we all have to check it. But it is something that we're working on, making sure that the language is accessible and easy to understand, so that as many people that can consume it as possible. But it is something we're working towards, so just give us time. And we're working on it.
And us three will make sure they get it right.
Yes, we have 3 lovely advocates who will tell us if we are wrong. I promise you, as you can see. But all right, so we are going to talk now. If we've already kind of talked about if county boards want to engage more self-advocates, what this looks like. But Ryan, I know you've kind of have some tips and tricks on how to kind of increase that engagement.
Yeah, my 2 cents. I think that I've seen some success, certainly reached out to some peers across the state of Ohio, and was very fortunate kind of for their counsel and wisdom and sort of sage advice that helped me certainly when we were kind of trying to revamp what our self-advocate program looked like. Really kind of to get it going, frankly, you're recruiting self-advocates to your team, right? Is truly kind of what it looks like. You're like, hey, we're doing this. We think it's kind of cool. We'd really like you to come and be a part of that, right? And then peer-to-peer, your self-advocates that are already engaged, ask them to invite their friends. The best way is for someone that they know, that they respect, their pal, to be like, hey, come check this out, right? And then you as the staff or as that team get a tryout, right? That person's coming to you. They're going to be like, well, let's check this out. Let's see if it's worth my time. And that might be a one and done if it's awful. So you better bring your A game and do a really nice job, right? To kind of show them like, hey, this is kind of what it's all about, right? But also you're engaging at, whether you go to a Project Stir, whether you're going to see, folks, go to your local Special Olympics group. If you have other groups, if you have other programs, get out, talk to people, talk to your SSAs, talk to your other folks that are out there and say, hey, this is kind of what we're doing. Here's what we think it might be. Here's kind of what the next program is going to look like. Please bring your folks, right? Mm-hmm. Provider agencies. If there's a good provider and they've got a healthy whatever, talk to them. Say, hey, come to our next meeting. We'd like to have your whole group join us, right? Those conversations, that personal invitation is incredibly effective. And email are great. Phone calls are good. Bumping into each other at events is fantastic. Varying degrees of success with all of them, but it takes all of them, right? To a degree, it's that old sales approach. And just keep chucking it at the wall and you're going to get some stuff to stick. And that's pretty important. Not to oversimplify, pizza's always a win, right?
Yeah.
Courtney, how much could we talk about pizza and wins, right? Like there's yes. So a little bit of food, some snacks, pizza once or twice a year at a meeting, like they're incredibly helpful of kind of, perking some ears up. I don't know that that's going to be your go-to, but that is an awful nice, an occasional win. Bringing in experts, again, kind of in those conversations as you're talking about things, as folks are having questions. Jake came into one of our meetings this year because there's a lot of movement, frankly, at the federal level, at the state level, like what's going on in terms of legislation. Mm-hmm. So Jake came in, kind of gave an overview, and then at that point in time, the floor was open to having a conversation, and it was really interesting. Not everything was completely in line with where we were going, but it was important to the folks that were there. So if we needed to pivot occasionally and talk about, whatever that was, we did, and it was super cool. I thought it was incredibly well attended. Like the engagement was incredibly high. We've done other things. We've brought in DODD's wellness folks. We've done a meeting on belonging, right? Talking about what does it feel like to belong? What's that like? Yeah. And then inherently, what's our responsibility in creating that setting as well, right? Like we can't just be the consumer. We also have to be the person that's helping set that scene. So whether it's at a self-advocate meeting, whether it's at your job, whatever it is, right? Like you're going to benefit from it, but you should also kind of be trying to put it out there as well. And that can be challenging, but what does that look like? And when do we feel that, right? And then we brought in, outside groups. Like what is it that you're engaged with socially? Mm-hmm. We all recognize that, social bonds within our world are not always the greatest. We have to be, cognizant of that and work towards that. So bringing in groups like Next Chapter Book Club or Best Buddies or Special Olympics or a recreation program or Elevated's reading program or countless other programs that are sort of out there to come in and be able to do their song and dance. Hey, this is who we are. Maybe you've heard of us, maybe you haven't, but here's kind of what we're about. And we'd love to have you come check us out, right? And then finally, kind of within those meetings, using the staff that you already have within your DD agency, right? Mm-hmm. You have subject matter experts within your agency. Ask them to come, ask them to kind of give a little 2 cents or an update. That's been incredibly helpful for us as well. So as a general, throw it out there. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I'll hang out a little bit afterwards. I've got some cards, that kind of stuff. I was incredibly fortunate when I first kind of dipped my toes into these waters. Actually, Dot just showed me 2 hands, but when I dipped my toes into these waters, there were some great folks that were incredibly helpful. And if nothing else, I can point you towards them. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully that helps at least a little.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I want to give some time for question and answer, and we're running short. So in one word, we'll start with Ruben. One word.
Okay.
What would a county board and advocacy group relationship look like in 5 years? It can be slightly more than one, but
right now I could see the group band together and it's going to be stronger than it is today.
Stronger.
And the parents are going to be involved more, and there's going to be parents and advocates guiding the boards.
All right, Stuart.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off. I do not like the term person centered planning. For me, it should be person-driven planning. The person getting the services should always be the one in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
Carmen?
Collaborative.
Collaborative. Yeah. Anything to expand on that, or just collaborative? Or they took more than one word, so we're giving you a few. We're giving you
Oh,
a few.
I'm sorry.
Well, just that we're all the parents and families, and we have to engage parents and families too, but parents and families and advocates, we all have a voice, and we all just need to work together to make sure that people's needs are getting met. Does that make sense?
That's first and
Thank you.
foremost,
We just
right?
all have to listen to each other. That's all we need to do. We need to listen. We need to compromise.
Yeah.
What?
I'll give. I'll give 3. Critical, robust, and powerful.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Mhm.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah, I like that. And I'll kind of use that to maybe wrap up. Yeah, I think going into these next couple of years, we do have some challenges ahead. I don't think we can really shy away from them anymore. We see how some of the policies that are being suggested sometimes are just kind of being thrown out there. But to that point, it is critical, and we have to be powerful because we have evidence that we can make a change.
Oh, yes.
We have 3 people, one that I'm sure will, continue in this path and become a leader in this area. But we have experts who have seen the change. If you come back to the next session, we have 2 more advocates who have driven change. And so we just all have to be kind of going in that same direction. And I lied. I feel like we are out of time for question and answers. However, I know they're going to stick around. We have time. We have 7 minutes. So if I know Christine has been waiting to ask a question. So I'm going to go to Christine. All right.
For some things that can be done, and is that whenever of the self-advocates, part of our duty is helping with the levies, like I did in Fairfield before. Ruben's going to do it in Vinton. And so when the county board has levies, getting stories, videos about what have the services been like, what's well, how have you, for instance, making up sentences, but it is true on me. Like if I didn't have self-directed transportation getting to Ohio State, I wouldn't have my job today. So we're a contributing member and a taxpayer of society. And so showing that also, because it's very huge and we still have work to do. Okay. It's mixed message right now, but I read where they're saying to make the voting process where you have to have your absentee in by election day, not 7 days, not getting to have this 5, 7, or 10 days later, because the top dog at the US wants to make more votes not be counted. So part of the county board and us is to teach the individuals, hey, we can help you with the process, so we make sure you aren't being your voice isn't being counted. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, typical. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Diana Myros, and I'm the advocacy advisor, one of them from Hamilton County DD Services. And something that we have done is we have several new advocacy groups, and they are in charge of the whole advocacy groups. It's not connected to the board, which I think is a really big push, because it also shows independence and we do support them. I mean, we help them with Zoom and some other things. But I want to mention something that I wanted to touch base on real fast. Is we gotta be creative with advocacy and not just in bills and laws and policies. But we need to be creative in how to do advocacy because not everybody is a public speaker.
Yeah.
Not everybody can have the ability to write to a congressperson. But what we can do is we can help them do that. And you can also be there presently and have somebody share your story. And we also do events. We have a advocacy group on healthy living, lifestyle, healthy living, and we had a dance-a-thon, and we had it during the day. We had it at a church, and it was fun. And we had so many providers come out that I never even heard of, and just had a great time dancing and being fit. And that's taking care of yourself. And sometimes you have to advocate to take care of yourself and live a healthy life. And so I just want to spark on, creativity, and the advocacy looks different for each person.
Yeah, Diana, well said. And I think one of the things that I had in my notes and we didn't quite get a chance to talk about today is advocacy can look incredibly different. Advocacy can look like, hey, we're heading to DC and what that looks like. Advocacy can look like at the grocery store. I know I have my budget and my staff is telling me I have to buy generic ketchup, but darn it, I'm a Heinz guy and I want my Heinz, right? And I'm cool buying myself some generic stuff over here that my budget works so I can have my Heinz, right? You have to advocate for yourself. That's advocacy, right? As much as it is in other ways. And so having those conversations and scaling up and back and differently is all about the advocacy. So Diana, well done. Thank you for bringing that up. That's important.
And I think, being in this room, having these discussions and wanting to take part in these and hear from those advocates. That's how we build this alliance and continue moving forward. So, well, I appreciate it. If we would have a round of applause for our great panel.